So, are you ready for an adventure in code? Good, because today we're going to unlock the secrets of C++, which is honestly one of the most powerful programming languages on the entire planet. We're going to demystify it and get you started on your quest. Let's just dive right in. Okay, so I know what you're probably thinking. C++, isn't that kind of old? It's from the 80s. In a world with shiny new languages like Python, why on earth would you bother learning this one? And you know what? That's a totally fair question. And the answer is actually really, really exciting. You see, learning C++ isn't just about learning to code. It's more like gearing up for an epic quest. It's about gaining some serious, and I mean serious, programming superpowers. So what exactly are these superpowers? Well, for starters, C++ is unbelievably fast. I mean, think about it. A task that might take a language like Python a few seconds to chew on, C++ can do it in a tiny fraction of a second. This raw speed is exactly why it powers everything from Adobe's creative software to the incredible graphics in your favorite video games. When performance absolutely has to be top-notch, C++ is the hero you call. This slide really helps put it all into perspective. Imagine programming languages are on a spectrum, right? On one end, you have high-level languages like Python. They're kind of like talking to a translator. It's easy for you, but there's a tiny delay. C++, on the other hand, is like speaking the computer's native tongue. Sure, it takes a little more effort to learn, but the result is pure, unfiltered speed because you're talking directly to the hardware. Now, let's be real for a second. There is a bit of a learning curve with C++, but that's kind of the deal with any great adventure, isn't it? The challenge is what makes the reward so sweet. And trust me on this one, learning C++ is absolutely 100% worth it. All right, every adventurer needs their gear. So let's talk about the simple toolkit you'll need to start your C++ quest. And you'll be happy to hear it's probably a lot simpler than you think. You really only need two main things. First, a text editor. This is just where you're gonna write your code. Think of it like your digital notebook. And second, you're gonna need something called a compiler. So, what's that? The easiest way to think of a compiler is like your own personal translator. You write your instructions in C++, and the compiler turns all of that into the one and only language your computer actually gets, ones and zeros. It's the magic little bridge between your great ideas and the machine itself. Okay, with our toolkit ready, it is time to cast our first spell. In the world of programming, this is the classic Hello World program, but we're going to put our own little spin on it. This is your first win. So every spell has to start with an incantation, right? In C++, our first line is this, #include_IOStream. All this does is tell our program, hey, go grab a library of pre-written code that knows how to handle basic stuff like printing things to the screen. Simple as that. Next up, every single C++ program needs a starting point. This is called the main function. When you run your program, the computer immediately looks for main and starts doing whatever you told it to do inside those curly braces. It's basically the heart of your entire program. And now for the actual magic. stdcot is our command to print something on the screen. And see those two less than signs? They kind of act like little arrows, pushing our text, in this case, I like pizza, out into the world. Whatever you put inside those quotes is what's going to show up. And here we have a super important piece of C++ syntax. You see that semicolon at the very end? You have to put one of those at the end of almost every statement in C++. Just think of it like a period at the end of a sentence. It tells the compiler, okay, this command is done. And when you compile and run that code, boom, success. You have officially told the computer what to do, and it listened. You've cast your first spell, you've brought your code to life. Feels pretty great, doesn't it? Now that you've cast your first spell, let's really quickly look at the basic building blocks of C++. These are the fundamental elements you're going to use to build pretty much any program you can dream up. First up, variables. You're going to use these all the time. As you can see here, an int is for whole numbers. A double is for numbers with decimal points. A char holds just a single letter or symbol, and a string holds, well, a string of text. So what even is a variable? Well, the best way to think about it is like a labeled container or a box where you can store a piece of information. You give the box a name, you tell it what kind of stuff you'll put in it, and then you can put data in, take it out, or change it later on. It's how your program remembers things. So, how do we make our programs, smart? We do it with if statements. An if statement is basically a gatekeeper. It checks to see if something is true. If it is, it opens the gate and lets a specific block of code run. If it's not true, the gate stays shut. This is the fundamental way your code starts to make decisions and react to things. Wow, we have covered a lot of ground in a really short amount of time. You've learned why C++ is so powerful. You've geared up with your toolkit, and you've even cast your very first spell. But believe me, the quest is just getting started. So, what's next on the map? Well, you'll master things like functions, which are just reusable chunks of code, and arrays, which let you store whole lists of values. And then comes the really fun part, using these new skills to build actual projects, like a calculator, a number guessing game, or even a classic game of rock, paper, scissors. And that pretty much brings us to the end of our introduction. You've got the tools, you've cast the first spell, and you have a map for what's ahead. Your C++ adventure has officially begun. So really, the only question left is, what are you going to build first?